Okay, so welcome to Heike Leadership's Everyday Leadership Series, and we started this initiative to bring to light stories of people who, in their everyday sense, are living out what I would refer to as personal leadership. Sometimes it's going through transitions, sometimes it's just grappling with something difficult. And so we wanted to make sure we brought some of these stories to light through this Everyday Leadership Series. It's not about being perfect, it's not about having a platform, but it's about having a story that is uniquely personal and theirs. And I want to welcome today Catherine McCourt, who is a long-standing friend of mine, a daughter, a sister, an aunt, a good friend, and a mama to puppy Rue, and also, of course, a fine human in general. And
Thank you.
Currently works for a premier global retail brand in the business development function. And welcome, Catherine, today. Good to have you with us.
Thank you.
And
Hi.
so I'll let you kind of take the lead around where you find yourself today and what, if anything, is up for you around a major transition that you've got going in your life.
Well, it's good timing to be chatting with me. There are a few things that have been going on, and I have a gap, as we call it, right? When you're in transition, moving from one place to another. And the end of April will be really when this will happen for me. So I'll be moving on from my current role and organization and moving into what I don't really know and are not 100% clear on, but I do have goals and aspirations of how I want it to look to get to personal goals that I've had for a while. So I'm looking at this as a positive transition and focused on, as I said, leading more towards like a balance of purpose and career and aligning those better.
Cool.
Okay. So I'd say that there's no fear at this point in terms of this transition. If anything, I have a real positive outlook on it. And, you know, given what we're all being faced with now globally in the world, with this pandemic happening, the thing that I'm taking away most is it's almost as if it's bad timing for anyone, but it's good timing for me, where I've been asking for a little more space in my life. To be able to come to a realization of where I want to focus my next direction and journey.
Okay. Well, so if I was to say, what does this transition mean to you personally? You've indicated not a lot of fear, and it's something that's been kind of in process for a couple of years, and you're excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you answer the question, what does it mean to you personally?
I think I'm finally ready to take action. So this year, 2020, before January even hit, my whole thought was I knew this transition was coming, first of all. So just so you know, I've known pretty much since mid last year. So it's not like it's something that came out of the woods, you know, and was a surprise. So I've had time to really think about it. And that's probably why I'm a little more calm over it, or had time to really reflect on it in a much, or in a positive way, I guess. But I would say like taking action has been a really key point personally for me. And what that means is that in this transition, if I don't change my thoughts around action, then I'm not ever going to change my thoughts around action. And what I mean by that is, for years, I'm always someone who, in personal assessment tests, whether it's through work or through school that I've had, futurist tends to always be something that pops up in my categories of personality. And I'm constantly thinking of the future. Okay. I'm always thinking about that next level, where I want to be. I envision this all the time. It doesn't mean it manifests. I just often have these thoughts about where I would be, and it doesn't have to be at a certain age or a certain time. It's just something I envision myself doing, and I know at some point in my life I will be doing it. And some of the reasons I haven't done some of that stuff is because pure lack of action. And so 2020 for me, knowing that I had this transition coming up, is all about forcing myself to realize that I need to put into actions the vision that I have versus talking about it, because I don't want to be a broken record. But it's if I don't take action now, then I'm never going to achieve the thing that I desire most.
Okay. Okay. So it sounds like 2020 for you is really where there's a nexus between the intention and desire for what you want and the actions that you've got to take to be able to move that forward or move the needle.
Right. And I guess, life is busy and we're all busy. And I've been in
For
that
sure.
place where I've been, say I'm extra busy. I'd like to say I'm productive more than busy. Right. But
Sure.
I feel that what I haven't been able to do is really action a lot of things. And I've had to wrap my head around what does this space-time transition mean? And it really does allow me the ability to action the things that I've talked about for a long time.
Right. Well, and if I could take a bit of a liberty, I mean, it's hard not to hear you say that just now without hearing it a little bit of maybe you beating up on yourself or why I haven't taken an action. And maybe that's not true. Maybe you're not beating yourself up. But you also have been through quite a journey personally around being very busy and in a very demanding job and having to produce at a very high level for quite a period of time that had a personal cost to you for a while. And so it's fair that maybe that's a part of the story too, right? You don't have a lot of bandwidth left to give to other things you're trying to move forward with if work's taking up 98% of your heart and mind.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So in some ways this has really been a good process to create that space for you and to be able to think about it slightly differently. So what do you know differently today than when this transition first started for you, whether that was 2 years ago or when you first heard about the change? What do you know differently today from then?
I can't say that it's something I know differently. I think I've always been intuitive enough to know what all this could mean if this transition happens the way that I envision it to happen. It is, I guess the learning for me is just that, like, we are all human and we do have a bandwidth. And it's about not beating yourself up, like you say, but it's about getting past that and realizing that you are the only one. Something I learned actually before I even turned 30, and it happened to be within a job, but you realize like you are truly the only person that can ever make the change for yourself. You are the only person that can drive that ambition, that motivation. You will draw from things in your life to get inspiration and motivation.
Yes.
But it truly takes you. And if you don't allow yourself the personal space and balance in your life, it will be that much harder and you will struggle. I've been there. And I think it is, if people can do themselves a favor, I think balance should be a priority in everybody's life.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I love what you're saying about only you can really decide, right?
Yes.
How we make it through the resistance and up the other side and to be able to see a change as positive and anew. And then what I'm hearing you drive home as a key point is that without balance in one's life, where mental health and physical health are both intact, can you actually make that transition more effectively?
Yes, because balance means that you are giving back to yourself with that. But the reality is, if you give yourself even 10 minutes before you start your day will be different.
So how do you start your day? What's the 10-minute, like what makes the difference to you having a great day versus not a great day?
Lately, to be honest, not watching the news, just based on, and I like to write. So I haven't been doing a ton of writing lately, but sometimes it's just writing in the morning, just whether it's dumping thoughts I've had recently, or if it's that I'm working on something like a piece that I want to share with my inner circle, something like that.
Cool.
But
Cool.
I do. I just think that if you give yourself, whether it's 5 or 10 minutes, it's not very long. I'm sure you can afford it. It goes a long way.
Well, it's interesting. People don't think they can afford it to themselves, the same way they eat at their desks, right? And they don't afford themselves a break. But oftentimes it pays off in dividends at the end, like when you're trying to get stuff done in the day because you've set yourself up well, or because you've taken a break. Yeah, beautiful. Okay.
Well, what I can tell you, sorry, because you brought up the whole lunch thing, and I've actually been someone who has preached to colleagues about this lunch thing. So I used to do it, and then I realized, I'm like, you can actually eat that amazing meal you've made in under 15 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, depending how quick you eat. But you absolutely could eat that in 15 minutes in the lunchroom, not think about work, and get back to work, and you'll be more productive rather than stopping every 5 minutes to put a fork in your mouth. I've had colleagues do it, and they were like, you know, thank you for being such a pest and up my butt about this, because you know what? I now take my 15 to 20 minutes, eat my lunch, and you're right. I get back into work, and then the food's feeding me and more production.
There's the start of your coaching business. Up my butt, and in my whatever they said, up my butt and in your face about this. That's good.
Sorry, yeah.
Okay,
you may have to edit that out. I don't know.
Oh yeah. So, what if you were to say 3 things that totally juice you up, get you excited? What are they? I'm going off this isn't on the question list.
I love aha moments.
So learning or aha moments?
They don't happen often, but when they happen, they feel so good.
Yeah. So you covered ground. Awesome. Okay, what else?
I don't know, just seeing people be positive. So there's a lot of people that can take things and, you know, take the negative out of things and then they stir in it. But I just sometimes if you just think about the opposite of that just for a second, your mindset will change. And I don't know, that answer is, it's not very clear.
Well, it's fair. You want hope. You like to see people be hopeful or to challenge their thinking. Fair enough.
I don't like pessimists. I shouldn't say I don't like them. I have a hard time with them.
It's okay. You can not like whatever the hell you want. Okay, what's number 3? What's number 3? There's got to be something physical in there, isn't there? You're a physical girl.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I need my workouts.
Yeah.
So for me, working out just, it fuels the body and feeds the mind in such a positive way. And you know how we were saying even the 10 minutes to yourself in the morning, that's one of the things that I love seeing right now that's happening around the globe, is there's so many fitness enthusiasts that are making people realize you give yourself 8 minutes in the morning, and it's amazing how you can transform your mind and your body. Just literally, if you do that consistently and make it a routine, you'll start missing it the week that you stop doing it.
Very good. Very good. Okay. And I know you're also a big family person too.
Yes. I have 4 nieces, and watching them grow up is inspiring to me, to see what kind of young ladies they're becoming. And they're a little bit older now, so they're in their 20s, but it's really nice to see them become these young women. And I don't know, just family is the root of a lot of things. And in my family, I can't say that I've kind of been a bit of the black sheep in the family for growing up, but one of my nieces is too, so I love that.
She is too?
One of my nieces is considered the black sheep too, and
there's always one.
I like that. I know there is always one. I just think family is very important, and you know what, at the end of the day, it is going to be family that will have your back through thick and thin.
Well, we're getting close to the end of our time together, and if you wanted to put into really concise terms, what would you want to say to people out there who are looking at a major career transition and finding themselves navigating that over like 1 or 2 years like you have, what would you say to them?
Get clear on what you want and how you want it to look. And I don't want to sound cliche here, but I am a believer of be careful what you wish for.
Say more.
Yeah.
Tell me more. What does that mean?
In life, you won't even realize that you're asking for things. And at some point in your life, something will happen. And if you really consider why this is happening or where is this coming from, chances are you'll realize that you've thought of this. So not necessarily wish for it, but you've thought of this somehow, some way. I think. Can
you give us an example? Or is that going to be tough?
An example might be tough, but.
Because this sounds like a lesson that you've learned.
Several
like
times.
You put something out into the world and you weren't really aware that you were seeking something. I can't remember your face right. Maybe I don't really want that.
Yeah, and I think when you say careful what you wish for, it doesn't necessarily mean negative.
Okay.
It just means that at some point in your life, you've considered something. Somehow you've asked for it, and it will show up in your life. It doesn't mean today, it doesn't mean in an hour or tomorrow. It could even be 3 years later, but some form of what you've asked for has appeared. So I believe that whatever you have, I'll say, wished for in your life, don't be surprised, it will appear.
Yeah. It's this whole idea that what we put into intention in the universe will come back in some way, right? That idea.
But I think if you can try and find clarity first, I think you will find you will have a much better outcome when that does appear.
I maybe, and tell me if I'm wrong here or off track, but maybe if we were to make this very tangible, it's to be clear about, because sometimes we're navigating ambiguity, right? Sometimes we just don't know where exactly the end point is, but we do have a couple of things that we do know. And so I think sometimes when we're navigating ambiguity, it's like, okay, acknowledge that and figure out, okay, what do I know for sure? That kind of question that kind of gets put out there sometimes. What do I know for sure? And maybe what do I know I don't want? And sometimes those are the only things you have. You only have those two answers to those questions. But I think if we go back to the point you made earlier, which is to take action, so keep moving in the direction of where you're trying to go, and maybe it's more to be true about what values or what's important to be in the mix for you as you move forward and keep navigating. And maybe that's what, if it's great and beautiful if it is clear to you where you're going, but sometimes that's not always the case. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. And then,
but I guess I could go. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, when you put it into career, like, if you think about it from a professional standpoint, some people, might look at a certain person in a certain role and wish that they were that, but they actually don't want all the things that are included within being in that role.
Very good.
And therefore, you need to get the clarity of what is it about that person in that role that is enticing you, appealing to you, if that helps clarify to an extent.
Yeah. Well, and it sounds like when I was asking you earlier for an example, this could be one of them, which is if I see someone in a role and I idealize like what it would be to be that person, and not really understand what the cost is to be able to get those results or to play in that space and travel, because I know your job also requires a lot of travel and being on the road and what that's like physically for you as an individual. So that makes total sense to me. That is sometimes we put roles and people on pedestals, and it's I think part of what you're saying is it's really important to get clear about what is it about that role that really appeals to you, and what does it really take to do that role.
Totally.
Yeah, sure. Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Catherine, for spending some time with us and for telling us a little bit about your story and where
Thank
you're
you.
at. And you know that I walking side by side with you as you go on the next part of this journey, and I look forward to lots of future chats.
Thank you.
Okay. Take care. We'll talk
You
soon.
too. You
Thanks.
too.
Bye.
Bye.